एष देवो विश्वकर्मा महात्मा सदा जनानां हृदये सन्निविष्टः स्वराज्य साम्राज्य विभूतिरेषः भवत्कृपा श्रीमहिमप्रसादात् प्राप्ता मया श्रीगुरवे महात्मने नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु नमस्तस्मै सदैकस्मै कस्मै चिन्महसे नमः यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते। हरि ओम तत्सत्। जय गुरु। We will chant from the 13th verse. Actually, in my book it is 14th, but in most of you must be having it as 13th. See, there is one shloka extra in this book, with which the Bhagavad Gita becomes 700 verses. Without that, it remains one less than 700. Not only that, keeping this first shloka seems to be more appropriate, because you will find that after he has explained the Kshetra and Kshetrajna, which he had promised in the beginning, from the 19th verse he starts Prakriti and Purusha Viveka, Prakriti Purusha Viveka. So in the question, in the first verse, it is Arjuna is asking Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetrajyam Evacha Etad Veditum Ichchami Jnanam Jneyam cha Keshava. The question on which this chapter is based is Prakritim Purusham Chaiva. What is the Prakriti? What is Prakriti and what is Purusha? What are the differences? Kshetram Kshetrajyam Evacha. What is Kshetra and what is Kshetrajna? Etad Veditum Ichchami Jnanam Jneyam cha Keshava. Three things: Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, and Jnanam, Jneyam. So with this question, actually the whole chapter becomes very comprehensive, that this chapter discusses all these three. So this question, if it is added, that the first shloka, if it is added, it becomes more meaningful according to me. So, but most of the book, they don't have it. There are some other verses also which the Bhagavad Gita, different versions, they differ, one or two verses are less, more like that. So let us read from Sarvatah Panipadam, that is in your book, it is 13th. This I had done, and we are just chanting again to have a recapitulation. Sarvatah Panipadam Tat Sarvatokshishiro Mukham Sarvatah Shrutimaloke Sarvamavritya Tishtati Sarvendriya Gunabhasam Sarvendriya Vivarjitam Asaktam Sarvabhritchaiva Nirgunam Gunabhoktricha Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charameva cha sukshmatvat tadavidnyeyam durastham chantike cha tat avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktamiva cha sthitam bhutabhatri cha tajñeyam grasishnu prabhavishnu cha jyotishamapi tajyotihi tamasah paramuchyate jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam hridhi sarvasya dhishtitam iti kshetram tatha jnanam jneyam choktam samasatah madbhakta etad vidnyaya madbhavayopapadyate. So this section ends with iti kshetram, that he had already discussed, tatha jnanam he has discussed, jneyam which he is now discussing, we are at that point, cha uktam samasatah. This is briefly and comprehensively I have explained to you what is kshetra, what is jnanam, or what is jneyam. Mad bhakta etad vidnyaya, my devotee, knowing these concepts, knowing these, mad bhavayopapadyate, mad bhavayopapadyate. That means he attains mad bhavaya upapadyate, he attains my bhava. Now when Krishna says my bhava, what does it mean? That the devotee also becomes like me. He says everywhere that once a person knows this, or when he actualizes this, he becomes like me, he enters me, or he says he attains my bhava. That means he becomes like me. Now Krishna is one who has realized his real identity. He has identified himself with the universal I. That is his real identity. So anybody following this, when he comes to know this, he will also identify himself with the universal I. So it does not matter where Krishna is still living in his body or not. That we need not worry about at all. It's not meant also. Krishna is one who has identified his identity with the real, all-pervading, universal, transcendental Atma. So anybody who identifies like that, he becomes like him, is what he has meant everywhere. For that he doesn't have to be present, that you have to become, or enters me, means one has to go and enter him. It is not like that. He will enter that, he will get merged in that real identity, the real truth. That is the meaning everywhere. Now we go back to where we started. Actually we have done up to 15th, that is Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charam evacha sukshmatvat tadavidnyeyam durastham chantike cha tat. This I have explained in detail, but I wanted to say something which the last day there was no time, that these two verses, sarvatah panipadam tat sarvatokshi shiromukham sarvatah shrutimal loke sarvam avritya tishtati. That is his jnanendriyas, his karmendriyas, his head, his mouth, ears, that is everywhere. That means it is not a localized anything. We should not think of the object here. That whole universe is appearing in him. So he is everywhere. And everywhere it is not, he does not hear with the ears. He does not see with the eyes. But all the vision is taking place because of the consciousness. All the hearing is taking place because of the consciousness. So we can say he is hearing but not with the limited ears. He is seeing but not with the limited eyes. He is knowing, feeling but not with the limited mind. Sarvendriya gunabhasam, that whatever the indriyas are exposing, that is what we sense as the world, the 5-dimensioned world, that shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. All these 5 sense perceptions we have, with which our world is made. Our world, I said, is 5-dimensional. This subjective model of the world is 5-dimensional world, where the world is made of these 5 perceptions. So that is possible. The whole universe is, this manifestation is on that consciousness only. Without consciousness, nothing can happen. So all these Indriya perceptions are taking place in that. That is why Sarvendriya Gunabhasam, whatever the Indriya is expressed, it is there in that. But at the same time, Sarvendriya Vivarjitam, it does not have any limited Indriya, that limited ears or eyes or anything. Asaktam Sarvabhrit. It is the supporter. Sarvabhrit means which supports and the substratum of everything. Sarvabhrit. Nothing can exist without that. But it is asaktam. That means while manifesting the universe, it is not clinging to anything. We think that we are clinging. What they are trying to say is, this is what you are. Finally, the last shloka says, this is what, not the God, but you are, your real identity is. That means, although the sukha, dukkha, everything is an expression in us, we should not feel that I am becoming sukhi, I am becoming dukkhi, that is, I am getting affected by it, I am clinging. He says, no, it does not cling. It is manifesting everything. Like that, we also should see that everything is manifest in us, but I never get tainted by anything, I never get affected by anything. This is the purpose, otherwise there is no point in knowing God. What shall we do by knowing what God is, or what Brahman is, or what Atma is? We are interested in knowing what happens when we know this, when we know the Atma, when we know the God, what happens to the human being. We are not interested in knowing what happens to a dog or a cat or a tiger if he happens to know the truth or Brahman, because that will not be applicable to us. We should always remember, be very practical about the sadhana. We are interested in knowing what happens to a human being when he realizes the truth. See how intelligent was and eager was Arjuna. After Krishna presented the Sankhya Yoga, the Jnana Yoga in 2nd chapter, he spoke in detail about Atma and Brahman in the 2nd chapter itself. After he finished his discourse, Arjuna asked the question, Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava sthitadhi kim prabhasheta kim asita brajeta kim. That is, after listening to the concept of the Atma and Brahman and the truth, everything, his mind immediately thought about, well, that is all fine. This is Atma, this is this. But I would like to know what happens to a person when he realizes this truth. Because I am a human being, I am going to, what will happen to me when I realize the truth? This is so practical we never ask the question that by doing puja, what is going to happen? Or what has happened? I have been doing puja for so many days, what has happened? Have I got the result? Have I not got the result? We never look into what we are doing. But he was very practical in his questions. Right there he asked that what will happen to the human being. What did he ask? Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha. What is the definition? Samadhisthasya sthita prajnasya ka bhasha. What is the definition of a person? Sthita prajna, who is in samadhi? Because when one is in samadhi from outside, we cannot know. So how do you define that state? So that I can know whether I am in samadhi or not. When I am having samadhi, I will have to compare whether this is samadhi or this is sleep, or this is dozing, or this is drunkenness. I have to know. So how do you define a sthita prajna, his internal state? That was the first question. Then the second one was sthitadhi kim prabhasheta kim asita brajeta kim. How a person who has come out of his samadhi, which is a steady state, he has come back to his wakeful, normal state, then how does he behave? That is kim asita brajeta kim prabhasheta. How does he speak? How does he sit? How does he move around? These are figurative expressions. That means How is his interactive life? We are interested in only these two. That when I am not non-interactive, I am in a non-interactive state, what is my state inside? And when I am in an interactive state, how should I behave? If I know the truth, then I will try to behave in that manner. And as we actualize that behavior, we are coming closer and closer to truth. Whatever is the siddhi, that itself is the sadhana for a practitioner. By doing the sadhana, we approach the siddhi. So, this asaktam sarvavrityaiva, holding everything, manifesting everything, he does not cling to anything at all. That is why he is able to hold. Suppose you cling to dukkha, then you will not be able to manifest sukha. If you cling to sukha, then you will not be able to manifest dukkha. Only when you are not clinging, all the expressions, everything you can manifest. Because you are not clinging to, you are not getting modified by that, you are not holding on to that. So, when they are saying sarvavrityaiva nirgunam guna bhoktrita, he does not have any of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, he is transcending the gunas. But the whole prakriti, the whole universe, which is a constitution of these three gunas, they are manifesting on that. So, being nirguna, although he is an enjoyer of the guna bhavaktri, means whatever is happening, he is feeling that. If sukha is there, he is enjoyer of the sukha. If dukkha is there, he is sufferer in the dukkha. But his sukha, dukkha, or whatever he enjoys or suffers, they are free of raga dvesha, which comes out of the sakti, asakti, clinging. He does not have that. He is free of raga dvesha. That is how then a person, when he comes to know the truth, his bhoga also is freed of raga dvesha. This we should remember and understand very well. It is not an ideal theory that we are discussing. It is to be applied in the life. And this is what is going to happen. If we are freed of raga dvesha, then dukkha also, very huge dukkha we will be able to embrace, and we can have the suffering. And sukha also you can take any extent, and you can have the feeling of the sukha without clinging to sukha or hating dukkha. That raga dvesha should not be there. Then we also will become like this. So saying that he is this, actually what he means to say, at the end he is saying this is what you also will become. Mad bhavayo papadyate. That is the important point. Always try to relate the verses. Otherwise you will get lost in that he is describing the Atma, or he is describing the Brahman, he is describing God. What shall we do with that? The last line you should see that by this what will happen, knowing this, the person, the seeker will become like me. That means whatever he has said about the truth, the seeker will become like that. I mean, clear. This should be understood very well. In Mundakopanishad, the similar thing has been put in another manner. I told that day that in the 6th verse of the first chapter of Mundakopanishad, it's a very important verse because it is introducing the truth right in the beginning in this verse and this mantra, and then goes on further to elaborate. It says, yattadadreshyamagrahyamagotramavarnam achakshushrotram tadapanipadam nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam yadavyayam tadbhutayonim paripashyanti dhiraha yattadadreshyamagrahyamagotramavarnam achakshushrotram tadapanipadam nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam yadavyayam tadbhutayonim paripashyanti dhiraha. If you understand this sloka, everything is understood actually, if you properly understand this. He says that yat tad adreshyam, that means which cannot be seen. Agrahyam, which cannot be interacted with by any of the... When they say cannot be seen, means it cannot be heard, cannot be felt, all those, it cannot be perceived by the sense organs. We have to see that. Shastras will always not say about all the 5. They have to be assumed. Yat tad adreshyam means which cannot be perceived by the sense organs. Then agrahyam, which cannot be interacted with, held by the organs of action, karmendriyas. Agotram. Gotra means our lineage. You cannot look for the lineage of that truth. because it is causeless. It is, you cannot link it to anything by causality, then that will become the absolute. This will not be the ultimate truth. So ultimate truth, if at all anything is there, it has to be by definition beyond cause. And it cannot have any further cause. That is why they said agotram. You cannot look for where from he has come. Is Vishnu his generator or Brahma his producer? Nothing like that. He is causeless. Agotram avarnam. Varna means color. Color allows us to differentiate, fragment the world. If there was no color in vision, we would not have known the differences. So in the visible world, color creates the fragmentation. So it does not have any such color, no such division at all. You cannot fragment it. Moreover, this means the objects are perceived visually because of the difference in colors. So in this whole statement, the first line, it is saying in a nutshell is Vastu Guna Varjita. Will you remember? Vastu Guna Varjita. That means it does not have any of the qualities or parameters of object. It cannot be seen, it cannot be felt, it cannot be interacted with, it cannot have the causality. All objects have cause and effect chain, they are all having causality. Then avarnam, it does not have any color so that you can differentiate and form, identify a form different from others. Then the next line says just the opposite, just the other side of it. What is that? It does not have any of the subject properties also. It is not object, but we will say, but it is a subject. God is a subject. No, it does not have the subject properties also. What is that? Achakshushotram tadapani padam. It does not have eyes, does not have the ears, it does not have legs and hands. Now here they said everywhere it has hands and legs. There he is saying it does not have hands and legs. Both mean the same. It does not have some limited indriyas like that. Now a subject, as a subject we have either organs of interactions or organs of perception. So he does not have the organs of interaction, he does not have organs of perception, and he does not have the qualities by which we can perceive or interact with. That is Vastuguna Varjita and the subject, how do you say? The Karta Guna Varjita we can say. But it is not Karta really, it is Karta and Bhokta. Kartritva Bhoktritva Varjita we can say. It does not have Kartritva, it does not have Bhoktritva also. But it will say Guna Bhoktricha. That Bhoktritva is not like our Bhoktritva where we are getting affected by that. It is unaffected Bhoktritva is what they mean. Then comes the third line which it takes is to the cosmic dimension. These two are personal dimension, that it's not like an object, it's not like a subject also. Then goes to the universal cosmic dimension. What is that? Nityam. Nityam means always. Always actually, it is saying always, but it means it transcends time. Because if it has an adi, somewhere it has started, then it is within the time. But if it is anadi means there is no time at all, it is transcending the time. So Nityam means it transcends time. Vibhum means which encompasses all forms. That means it is formless. Which encompasses all forms. It cannot have its own form. It is formless. But it is the generator of all forms. Nityam Vibhum Sarvagatam. It is everywhere. Sarvagatam means actually pervading everything. But actually it is not pervading everything. Everything is appearing in this. So it is beyond space. So it is transcending time, it is transcending form, it is transcending space. Nityam Vibhum Sarvagatam Susukshmam. By that also, whenever we are saying subtle, subtler than the subtlest, we are thinking only in objective terms. That water is subtler than the solid, the electrons are subtler than the molecules, still we can go further, the energy is subtler than the particles, all those things. They are all in the objective domain. But this subtlety they are saying is you cannot find in the objective domain. That is, you cannot imagine in the objective domain of subtle, subtler, etc. It is transcending the subtlety also. That is transcending the grossness and subtlety. Whenever we say subtle, the God is subtle or the Atma is subtle, we think that the grossness is outside the Atma. No. This grossness also appears in the same consciousness. Is it not? Because our mind is always given to grossness, we have to first din into your mind, hammer into your mind subtlety, abstraction. Because our mind from birth and before birth also, from the womb itself or from generations, it is always clinging to grossness and fragmentedness, formed, limit, etc. Such a mind has to be relieved from its grossness, clinging, fragmented nature. How do you do it? So we introduce God as subtle, infinite, whatever the opposite of generally we are attached to, we are clinging to. The purpose is to free our mind from the grossness, limitations, clinging, etc. But suppose our mind is always given to infinitude, then we would have said that God is small and gross and that, so that you can get rid of the infinitude. You understand this? We have to go beyond both subtlety and grossness, infinitude and smallness. That is why I said the greater than the greatest, smaller than the smallest. Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan. It is even smaller than the smallest and greater than the greatest. Because it is not objective. Unless you go beyond the objective dimension, the dimension of objectude, you will not be able to conceive of the truth. But it encompasses, in this truth the grossness is also appearing. We should not forget that. Grossness is a concept in this. Subtlety is also a concept in this. Nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam. Then the last line is very important. This is all the characteristics of that. What is that? Tad avyayam yad bhuta yonim paripashyanti dhiraha. This is the description of the avyayam bhuta yonim, which the dhiraha paripashyanti. Dhiraha means the wise people who are knowers. They paripashyanti means paritaha pashyanti, means they see everywhere. Paritaha means all around. It is not that they find it in the idol or in the temple or only in their bosom. They find it everywhere. They cannot look at a place where it is not there, because the whole universe is appearing in that consciousness. You cannot go anywhere where the consciousness is not there. Without that, nothing can exist. Nothing is there. So, he says, Dhiraha paripashyanti. The wise people, they see everywhere. What do they see? Tad avyayam yad bhuta yonim. They see this, the first three lines, whatever we have said, that is the avyayam bhuta yonim. Bhuta yonim means the yoni of all the entire universe, the source of the entire universe. Actually, here they are saying source, but it is not exactly like a source. That is why they have added the word avyayam bhuta yonim. Avyaya means which never changes, which never decays, never undergoes any change at all. You think of any source. If you have so much of water and if you pour the water, then the water in the jug will be less. It will reduce. Whatever you produce, there will be a reduction in the source point. There will be a change in the source point or reduction in the source point. Or you transform the material into something else. Suppose the paper pulp, you produce a book. The paper pulp will get reduced and the book will be produced. The pulp will become book. In this case, no such parinama srishti takes place. No such causal material creation takes place in the absolute level. That is why the avyayam bhuta yonim, this is the substratum of the entire universe, which shows the entire universe, displays the entire universe without undergoing any change at all. This is strange, because in our causal universe we don't find anything like that. We find very close to us, but we don't think. What are we doing in the dream? The whole world is created in the consciousness. Have you used any item, anything going out? Anything you can produce. You can produce the biggest of the aircraft which is not existing in this world. In dream it can appear. It can move very slow, it can move very fast. It can do anything. You may think that I have lifted the aircraft also. That also you will produce there. Anything. The moment the thought comes, immediately the world is there. There is no time gap. It is not limited by time. It is transcending time. The moment you are thinking of a world, the world is there and you are moving around in that world with your dream body. So this creation is exactly, this example is taken not to say that dream, like dream, it is illusory. To understand that this is the vivarta srishti done by consciousness, and the fundamental material of this universe appearing is also consciousness alone. There the whole thing just happens to be without any change of material. But once the universe is there, everything there is causal. When the universe is there, in the universe, whole thing is playing with time, space, matter, causality. There you cannot say that I want a rasgulla here, the rasgulla should appear here. You have to go to the shop, or somebody has to go and prepare and bring it here. Or you have to know the magic to produce a rasgulla, either way. So that others will see the rasgulla, but your stomach will not get filled by that, whatever. So in the created world, everything is bound by causality. But in the absolute level, in the fundamental level where the creation takes place, nothing is, it has to be, by definition, it has to be transcending causality. It has to be just an appearance where there is no binding, no clinging, no asakti. So, and that truth is what we are. Then why are we always crying and wailing and everything we get annoyed? So much of ego, so much of fuming, so much of blaming, all because of our clinging, not knowing our real identity, that I am untouched by everything, like space or even more than space. Everything takes place in me, but nothing happens to me. This is the idea. That is why they are discussing. Otherwise, why should I discuss? Why should we read about Brahman or Atma who has nothing to do with us? Because that is what we are. So we are trying to understand. Otherwise, why should I rake my brain to find out how to make people understand and this, that, and why should you come with so much of trouble here? It is the only purpose is that we are also like that. So we have to understand what is our real identity, then we will be freed of all our troubles. There lies the panacea of life. So it is holding on everything, but it is not entangled with everything. धोरे आछे किंतु जोड़िए नहीं, in Bengali. पकड़ के होल्ड की सपोर्ट क्या बोलते हैं हिंदी में? धारण कर रहे हैं, लेकिन क्या बोलते हैं उसको? हाँ, जुड़ा हुआ नहीं. धारण करते हैं लेकिन जुड़ा हुआ नहीं. Because he does not have raga dvesha. If we can free our mind from raga dvesha, then also we will hold everything, lekin without getting entangled with it. समझे? कर सकेंगे ऐसे ही. So, this is what the two descriptions are different, almost opposite, but they mean the same thing. Whether Mundaka Upanishad description or this description, apparently they are opposite. One is saying everywhere hands and legs. Another is saying no hands and legs, but both mean the same. So let us go to the next also we have done. Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charamevacha sukshmatvat tadavidnyam durastham chantike chatat. So the next verse we go. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktamiva cha sthitam bhutabhatri cha tadnyeyam grasishnu prabhavishnu cha. Now see this verse and the previous verse. In the previous verse, he said that sukshmatvat, because of its subtlety, tat avidnyayam. It cannot be known. Avidnyayam. And here he is saying tad jnayam. That is, it can be known. In the previous verse, it cannot be known. Tat sukshmatvat tad avidnyayam. Visheshana rupena jnayam. We are knowing the world as all different from this. This person is different from that person. This lady is different from that lady. All different. Vishesha rupena, we are knowing them. But because of its subtlety, you cannot know it like that. It is everywhere, but it is appearing in different forms. Just like electricity. Electricity also same. Avidnyayam, you cannot identify. But it is, you are seeing the light, you are hearing the sound, you are finding the heat, everything is coming out of electricity, but you don't know the electricity because of its sukshmatvat. So, because of the subtlety, it remains avidnyayam. It cannot be known as an object, as we are always trying to know things as object before us. It cannot be known as an object before us, cannot be seen by any, not under pratyaksha or even Paroksha also, by inference, objectitude. And here they said that Bhuta Bhatricha Tad Jneyam. Well, it is Avidnyeyam, cannot be known as objective, but even then it can be known because it is what you are. There is a way of knowing it. See how he is saying here. He says Bhuta Bhatricha Grasishnu Prabha Vishnu. Bhuta Bhatri, that means the supporter of all beings. That means actually Vishnu. Because of the Chandas, he has not used the word Vishnu. Vishnu means who is the sustainer of the world. Vyapnotiti Vishnu, who is everywhere. He is supporting the whole universe, whatever is there. And Vishnu is considered to be the sustainer of the universe. And Grasishnu means the destroyer. Who? Grasishnu means who devours. That is the destruction when it enters. And Prabha Vishnu means the creator. That means Brahma. And Grasishnu means the Shiva or Nataraja. So he is the creator, he is the destroyer, and he is the sustainer also. Vyapnotiti Vishnu, Prabha Vishnu, and Grasayiti Grasishnu. I think so. We can check in the dictionary. Who eats up everything is Grasishnu, and who manifests everything is Prabha Vishnu. But these words have meaning. Because if you say creator, you will immediately think of somebody is creating from objective, something is there from Prakriti, he is creating. It is not. Prabha Vishnu means Avirbhava. It is just bhava, it is appearing. This word we should remember. It is the source not in the creation sense, but in the sense of appearance. The whole thing is appearing. Destruction also, disappearing. Not destroying, disappearing. It is appearing and disappearing, just like your dream. Appearing, suddenly disappearing also. In the dream you become a king or a queen. So it was appearing. Suddenly you find that you are the same puny lady lying on the cart. It is disappearing. So where has it disappeared? In the consciousness. Where from did it appear? From the consciousness. Where was it sustained, the whole dream world? In the consciousness. So the example is, illustration is there right within us. It is nothing unknown to us. But maybe we are not able to perceive it because we are not thinking deeply or trying to go into it deeply with our feelings. He says, Abhivaktam cha bhuteshu vivaktam iva cha sthitam. It is actually undivided, unfragmented. It is present in all bhuta, all the beings, everywhere, and undivided. But all the bhuta, they appear as different, fragmented. So it appears as fragmented through the association of the material world, but actually it does not have, there is no division in it at all. Now this is again, what is he saying? Tad Jneyam, which can be known as your own identity. He is speaking about this. Now how to know this? That how will you approach that? You will know that Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktam eva cha sthitam. How will you know? You immediately go to 18th chapter. There is a similar verse which says that what is Sattvika Jnana? What is Sattvika Jnana? He has, in 18th chapter, he has divided everything into Sattvika, Rajasika, Tamasika. So that we can identify, if I am a seeker, what am I to do? What should be the qualities? What should be the parameters of my personality? We will be able to judge. We will be able to go further. We will be able to evolve ourselves. So, there he says that Sarva bhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayam ikshate. Sarva bhuteshu, in all the beings. Beings means they are all divided, fragmented. Yena ekam avyayam bhavam ikshate. Yena ekam avyayam bhavam ikshate. What does it mean? Ekam means one, uniform. Avyayam means which never changes, unaffected, untainted, unchanging, permanent. Anything unchanging means it is not transitory. Transitory means it is undergoing birth and death. Here there is no birth and death, it is unchanging, untransforming. Ekam avyayam bhavam. The prakasha, the appearance, the prakasha, rather the manifestation, which is, manifestation will not be abhyam. The truth will be abhyam. So that bhava, that truth, which is ekam avyayam sarvabhuteshu yena ekam avyayam bhavam ikshate. Yena. Yena means by that knowledge, that jnana, that jnanam viddhi satvikam, means he is talking about satvika jnana. By that knowledge, but the knowledge by which we are able to know the one unchanging, all-pervading existence, presence, undivided by the divided appearance of objects, and also abhibhaktam vibhakteshu sarvabhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayamikshate abhibhaktam vibhakteshu tadjnanam viddhi satvikam. Abhibhaktam vibhakteshu, that is unity in diversity, or unfragmented in the fragmented appearance. So the knowledge by which we become capable of being aware of the truth, which is undivided and unchanging, untainted, one, but which appears as many through the various beings and creations. That jnana is called sattvika jnana. So here, as we are doing abhibhaktam cha bhuteshu vivaktam iva cha sthitam tad jneyam, this has to be known. So this can only be known by sattvika jnana. He said ikshate. Ikshate I explained earlier also. It is not pashyate, not seeing with the eyes. It is seeing with the intelligence. Ikshate is inner vision, by our direct perception, inner perception. So it means that it is, whenever he is saying avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vivaktam iva cha sthitam bhuta bhatri cha tad jneyam, that this is, jneyam means it can be known, it is knowable, it can be known because it is what you are. But it can be known through, known as this avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vivaktam iva cha sthitam. It appears like divided, but it is avibhaktam, it is undivided, unfragmented. Now how do you know? By sattvika jnana only will know, not by the rajasika jnana or tamasika jnana. They have all defined those things. So to know this, those who are interested in realizing this, they have to cultivate the sattvika jnana, which in the beginning it means the comprehensive knowledge, because seeing unity in diversity means that always you are looking beyond the divided appearance. Our vision is always ragadvesha, means we are constricted in our vision. We are seeing only whatever, some according to my own opinion, my own wish, my own likes and dislikes. So it is always a divided vision, always a limited vision. But we have to have the undivided, comprehensive vision. That is what the sattvika constitution in us, when our mind becomes sattvika, more and more sattvika, we have this more and more comprehensive view. That is why the managers also to do it. A real good manager must have a very comprehensive view. He cannot only look at the profit or look at this, look at that. He has to have a very comprehensive view. So sattvika jnana is very important. So naturally we have to, if we are interested in having this, we have to change our lifestyle into sattvika lifestyle. We have to take sattvika ahara. Now what is that ahara? Ahara is not only food, that is there for the physical body. Ahara is all inputs we are taking. So with the vision, what inputs we are taking, sound we are hearing, then whatever stories we are reading or whatever matter we are reading and thinking in our mind, whatever we are thinking, they are all aharas. Whatever we are collecting inputs, they all will have to become sattvika. Ahara shuddhau sattva shuddhihi, sattva shuddhau dhruva smritihi, smriti lambhe sarva granthinam vipramokshaha. I have told, no? This time I haven't told. This is Narada Sanat Kumara Sambhada. That when Narada asked for Upadesha from Sanat Kumara was young, Narada was old. So Sanat Kumara told Narada that in his Upadesha part there, Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Shuddhihi. When you purify the inputs, the ahara, that will purify your being, all parts of your being. Now ahara means it can be any input. So by purifying the food through the mouth, our body will become pure, mind also partly. And by giving input to pure thoughts, pure ideals, pure thinking, analysis, etc., our mind will become purified, because those are the thoughts, are the food for the mind. Similarly, giving some good abstraction where the mind has to think in a comprehensive manner, subtle things, etc., the intelligence will become subtle and pure. We are not giving it, we are keeping the intelligence idle. It cannot think beyond the gross things. That is why we find difficult to understand matters. But if you give the subtle feed to the intelligence, purer feed to the intelligence, where comprehensive thinking, good thinking, all are there, analysis is there, comprehensive analysis, subtle analysis, then automatically the intelligence also will develop sattvika jnana, sattvika tendencies. So the whole being, by changing all sorts of aharas, all fold aharas, the whole being will become sattvika. Being means not only the body, all constituents of that. Sattva means whatever the body, personality, body, mind, personality is made of. The emotions also will become purified. Everything will become purified. That is why he said, ahara shuddhau sattva shuddhihi. Sattva shuddhau dhruva smritihi. When the being becomes pure, then we get back our memory of our identity, which never goes dhruva, which is permanent, that we are not bound by the body-mind complex. The personality will fall with the death of the body, everything will go, but I will not get touched by anything. So this smriti is dhruva. It is not that we were not there, we were there. It is not attained some by karma or doing something we have not attained it. Only we have got back the memory that this is what I am. It's a memory. Smriti lambhe, when we get back this memory, sarvagrantinam vipramokshaha, all the knots of the heart, knots of the intelligence, all the complications, complicated knots we have made, not only in this life, through our parents, grandparents, and all those knots have been inherited, and further knots we have prepared through our life by interacting with the raga dvesha. All those knots will get dissolved. Sarvagrantinam, granthi means knots. Sarvagrantinam vipramokshaha, vipramokshaha. V means Vishesha Rupena. That means not one granthi has gone and 500 granthis are remaining. No. All granthis, you don't have to attack each separately. That Shuddhata will take away all granthis from all sides. It is not one by one you are in an objective case to remove the complication one by one, you have to remove the knots. In this case, not like that. When the being gets purified, all granthis are sarva granthinam. Vi pra moksha. Pra means prakrishta rupena. Vi means vishesha rupena. That means individually all granthis are gone and all granthis are gone prakrishta rupena. That means they will not again, like dog's tail, it will not again bend and come back. It's gone and gone. So beautifully they explain. What is the difficulty there? I don't know. In understanding, is there any difficulty? We have to understand in the practical way that how we can apply in our life. So this, see how you have to link from 13th chapter when I am reading, 18th chapter that came to my mind. Why? You should understand the technique of reading, studying. I will not be there to always teach you every day to feed it. You have to do it yourself. How do you do? You learn the technique. That whenever we are reading a shloka, try to link it up with everything. He says that avivaktam cha bhuteshu vivaktam eva cha sthitam. Now how to understand, how to realize that unity in diversity? So we have to have a mind which is capable of. So they have already defined buddhi, jnana, sukha, everything. What is the sattvika buddhi? What is the sattvika jnana? So sattvika jnana is fitting exactly with this. So to make the jnana sattvika, what do we have to do? We have to have a sattvika buddhi. We have to have a sattvika dhruti. You go and read it. Everything is written in 18th chapter. Whenever there is a confusion, you go back to the question of Arjuna. You will find what has he asked. You will get the reply why this shloka is there. So we have to relate back and forth to understand what the scripture is trying to convey to us. Jyotishamapi tajyotihi tamasah paramuchyate jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam Hridi sarvasya dhishtitam. See this last line again. Hridi sarvasya dhishtitam. It is established, well established in everybody's heart. So nobody is excluded there. He is there right within our heart. Not only within our heart, He is the I we are always using, not knowing what it is. So there is no way we can miss it. Anything we do, I can miss anything but not the I. I cannot be missed. Even when you are sleeping, not knowing the world, I is still there. That I does not know anything. I did not know anything. That I, that does not know anything in that form, when it's unconsciousness or sleep or so. But the I is still there. It can never be missed. Jyotisham api tajyotihi. It is the Jyoti of all the Jyotis. It is the light of all lights. Now it can be understood in two ways. One is that any light, to reveal it, the consciousness is necessary. Unless the light is revealed by the consciousness, the sun will not be known. So all the Jyotis we have, the luminaries we have, they have to be revealed by our consciousness. So the real Jyoti is the consciousness. There is a stotra of Shankaracharya, Kim Jyoti Stotra. It's a good, step by step it takes you to the consciousness. Jyotisham api tajyotihi. It is the revealer of all the luminaries, all the light. That is one thing. Another you can understand, because I have already explained the mirror example and all, I can go to that. That what is the Jyoti in us, our consciousness we think, which is revealing everything for us. Is it not so? Our consciousness, we think it is body-mind limited, that is revealing everything. But that is actually, as I said, the reflected beam from the mirror. The original light is coming there. What we are thinking, the consciousness is the reflected beam, which in our Shastras is called Chid Abhasa, not the Chit. Chit is the original consciousness. Chit Abhasa, which is limited by which is expressing with the association of the body-mind complex. If the body-mind complex goes, Chidabhasa also will not be there. That is what our Jiva or Atma we think, that will not be there. So, it is reflected by our Buddhi or our body-mind complex, that is the Chidabhasa. These are multiple, because each person has his Chidabhasa. They are the Jyotis which are revealing the luminaries also for us. But this is the Jyotisham api tajyotihi. It is the Jyotis of all the reflected beams. It is the light which is becoming the millions of reflected beams. Are you able to understand? So two levels of understanding can be there. Ordinarily you can say it is the revealer of the light, because consciousness reveals light. So Jyotisham api tajyotihi. Or you can say it is the fundamental consciousness which gives rise to all the Chidabhasas, which are Jyotis for us. Jyotisham api tajyotihi tamasah paramuchyate. He is beyond the darkness, means ignorance. How do you know? When the ignorance is removed by the knowledge, then it becomes self-shining. That is why it is always said that it is not a created, there is no attainment. Oh, I have become a self-knower, I have seen the Atma. No. There is no attainment there. Everybody is Atma only. When the knowledge removes the ignorance, then it becomes clear that Smriti Lambe, that Smriti, Dhruva Smriti, that Smriti comes back. So nobody creates it. It was there, it is there, it will be there. Only it is not, it is misunderstood by us. When the knowledge comes, it removes the ignorance. The light comes, as the light removes the darkness, then what happens? Whatever is there you see. Does the light show the darkness? When the light falls, the darkness goes. Light, darkness, all have gone. Then your focus is whatever is in the room. Is it not so? Like that, the jnana removes the ajnana and you see whatever I am. Jyotisham api tajyotih tamasah paramuchyate jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam hridi sarvasya dhishtitam. He says that it is jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam. This I have explained, but I will do again. Say it is the knowledge. As I said, that the ultimate truth is knowledge and knowledge alone, but it is not the knowledge which we are dual knowledge, that I am knowing something. It is not in that manner. The knowledge, what we are talking about, spiritual knowledge, the prajnanam Brahma is the Mahavakya of Rig Veda. That is the ultimate truth, is prajnanam. That is the Advaya Jnana. When the self reveals itself, that is called the Jnanam, the real prajnanam. So that is what we are wanting. So Jneyam is knowing that, to know that. It is Jneyam, it is Jnanam also. And Jnanagamyam. What is the purpose of saying again Jnanagamyam? He has already said Jneyam, Jnanam. Now why is he saying again Jnanagamyam? This is a sadhana. Jnana is a sadhana, I have explained earlier also. Only this gives us the courage and the inspiration to pursue the sadhana. It is jnanagamya. That means if you practice the knowledge, as it has defined the 20 qualities and all, already he has defined. What is jnana? Etad jnanam iti proktam. The conglomeration of the 20 qualities. So by practicing those qualities, by practicing the knowledge, it is attainable. Jnanagamyam, it can be known. So we have the hope that it can be known. Otherwise it is all away from the objective vision, everything, then it perhaps cannot be known. He says no. It is jnanam, it has to be known, jneyam, and it is jnanagamyam also. If you pursue the jnana sadhana in the form of all the coordinates of knowledge, then you will be able to have the glimpse of it or the siddhi in it. Because, why? So, because Hridi Sarvasya Dhishtitam. Because it is right there everywhere. You don't have to go to the heaven or to hell or to anywhere in the world or other world to search for it. That is much more difficult. It is right there. You don't have to go anywhere. Or rather, if you stop going anywhere, then only you will find it. We are always running away from our real identity, running around like always playing with the dolls. And our mother is sitting there with her lap open, that आ जाओ बेटा, और कितना खेलोगे, आ जाओ हम बैठे हैं, कितने देर बैठे रहेंगे, आ जाओ. When we forget the play, our game is enough, we have played enough and we become tired, then we get back to the mother's lap and सो जाते हैं, आराम से सो जाते हैं. So she is right there in us, she is calling always. But we are worse than the bachcha, that heedless bachchas. But she has a way. Every night we have to get back to her lap. Otherwise we will not live. We will not be able to sustain our life. Every night unknowingly, just like the baby sleeping in her lap and getting regenerated with all the power, refreshed, and again playing the whole day, not coming back to her lap. But night you are forced to get back to her lap. Otherwise you will not be able to survive. Is it meaningful? Okay. Iti kshetram tatha jnanam jneyam choktam samasataha madbhakta etad vijñāya madbhāvāyopapadyate. This I have already explained, only I will give you that. Iti kshetram tatha jnanam jneyam cha uktam samasata. Now kshetram, he has defined in the shloka numbers. You can write down, those who are making notes, or you can just make a mark. That is 13.5 and 6 in your book, where the first shloka is not there. 13.5 and 6, they have defined the kshetram. What are they? Mahabhutanyahankaro buddhire. What is that? I will just read out those. Kshetram chapi no, that after that Rishi Virbahudagetam, then 5. Mahabhutanyahankaro buddhiravyaktam evacha indriyani dashaikam cha panchachendriya gocharaha ichchadvesha sukham dukkham sanghataschetana dhritihi etat kshetram samasena savikaramudarhritam. So these two shlokas he has talked about the kshetra. Then he says tatha jnanam. So knowledge he has talked about in two places. One is the shloka number 2, where he said kshetrajnanjapi mam vidhi kshetrajnanjapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam yattajnanam matam mama. He said that the knowledge is, jnanam is the knowledge of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. That is, they have said that. But what is the Kshetrajna? I have so many times I said that Kshetrajnan chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. It is the knower of the body, not only in my body, but it is the knower of all, everywhere. That should be remembered. Now after that, again from 13.7 to 13.11. 13.7 to 11. That is amanitvam adambhitvam. This is the starting point of jnana, because at the end, at the 11th verse, he is saying etad jnanam iti proktam ajnanam yadatonyatha. Etad jnanam iti proktam. This is called knowledge. So these 20 qualities enshrined in shloka 7 to 11, they are constituting of knowledge, jnana. Now comes iti kshetram ho gaya, tatha jnanam ho gaya. Now jneyam. Jneyam you find from 13.12 onwards. What is 13.12? Jneyam yattat pravakshyami yajñātvā mritamasnute anadimat param brahma na sattanna saduchyate. So he started jneyam from there, from 13.12. Then it goes on to up to 18. That is the end of whatever we have done. Jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam hridi sarvasya dhishtitam. Up to this he has discussed the jneyam. So he said that like this I have discussed the kshetram, jnanam, jneyam, samasataha. In brief I have discussed all these things. Mad bhakta etad vijnaya mad bhavayopapadyate. He attains my bhava by knowing these. Is it clear? I have summarized also. That should not be any difficulty. Now comes the Prakriti Purusha again. So that is why I said that first verse is necessary, because suddenly the chapter heading is Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. But he has incorporated the Prakriti Purusha Yoga also here. On the from other point of view, this is necessary because Bhagavad Gita is a great synthetic scripture, a great synthesis. The scripture is a synthesis of whatever spirituality was there in our country. So everywhere you will find this dimension of synthesis. So now that he has presented the Kshetra Kshetrajna Viveka, that is Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, that how to analyze the Kshetra and Kshetrajna and through that approach and attain yoga. This is what he has discussed. Now it is very close to Prakriti and Purusha, because Kshetrajna is the Purusha and Kshetra is the Prakriti. So people should not get confused that it is something else he is talking about. So although he has discussed this in 7th chapter, in other places also this Purusha Prakriti, particularly in 15th chapter we always chant. There also Prakriti Purusha is discussed in great detail. He has repeated here the same thing in a little different form to give the parallel with the Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. So as a synthesis. If you have questions, then I will take up question, and this I will take up later. It is another section starting, so I can stop here if you want, if you have questions. I have no questions in hand. Whatever was there, I have replied already last. Let us chant. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidyanadi Ubhavapi Vikaramscha Gunamschaiva Viddhi Prakriti Sambhavan Karya Karana Katritve Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate Purusha Sukha Dukkhanam Bhoktritve Hetu Ruchyate. He says, Prakritim Purusham Chaiva. Prakritim Purusham Cha Eva. Viddhi Anadi Ubhavapi. Ubhavapi is actually Ubhau Api, because it is all Dvivachana. Ubhau it comes to. Ubhau Api Anadi. Anadi. Because of Dvivachana it has come, must be. Anadi is Dvivachana. Dvivachana. Because two are there, that is why they have used Dirghai, Anadi. Prakriti and Purusha, both are Anadi, that is, they don't have any beginning, beginningless. Adi means beginning. Vikaramscha Gunamschaiva, and all the modifications and the various characteristics, qualities, those which are visible, perceptible, that constitutes the perceptible universe. Know that, Viddhi, know that is Prakriti Sambhavan. They are all born of the Prakriti. They are within the fold of Prakriti. This is what he said. Now, Prakritim Purusham Chaiva. The Purusha, generally we always refer to the conscious element. And Prakriti, the material manifestation, which is the within causality. The causal element is always the Prakriti. Whereas Purusha is the unchanging consciousness in everything. Now here he says that both are Anadi. Why? Because time is within the Prakriti. Suppose you say that Prakriti started on such and such time or so. It is meaningless, because that means time was there before that. Because time preconceives a duality. Time means there is a duality, there is a change. Everything is changing, and this was previous in time. The cause is preceding in time, the effect is following in time. So this causality, space, time, matter, they are all within the fold of duality. Now there is no meaning in saying that Prakriti started on such and such time. That is why I said that it is a great discovery of our country that we have discussed time always as a cyclic process. We have never thought of time as a linear process. We should understand that. It is our contribution, and nobody knows also. Even now I don't think there is enough thought given to this fact. Because in our day, that even the Brahmanda, the universe, it is going on with the time. That is why our time counting goes endless. The yugas, that Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, I don't remember the figure, but it's millions of years. And not only these constitute of one day of Brahma or something. Or maybe one life of Brahma, and one day of Brahma is something. What is this? I don't remember these things. I have not taken enough care. But they are the models which are given to put in our mind that there is no Adi. It is Anadi. It is a cyclic process. When Brahma came to ask Rama in Ramayana that, please, Prabhu, come back. The throne is Khali. You are Vishnu Avatara. So Vishnu's throne is remaining Khali. Please come back. Otherwise there will be disturbance in the heaven. So he introduced himself as Brahma, that I am Brahma, I have come. So Rama asked, which number Brahma you are? What are these? They might be stories, but they are meaning that, oh, you are Brahma of this Brahmanda. What is your number? There are so many Brahmandas there. And I am the timeless Brahman. He had identified himself as the timeless Brahman. So under him there are so many Brahmandas, which are all within the time and space and matter. So they said that Abrahmastamma Paryantam, everything is within Maya. If you call Brahma the creator, you call the causeless, he is born of, he is Swayambhu. Brahma is called Swayambhu. Apne aap janam liya hai. So much of honor is given. But our Vedanta says Swayambhu is nothing but within the ken of creation, Maya. Creator also is a Maya. Because such creator is not there. It is all cyclic process. It is not beginning of a time when the Big Bang took place. Big Bang took place. Time came then after that. How can it be possible? So, this is there is a scope for great thought in it, that the way they have presented. The both are anadi, they don't have the beginning, because they are time, transcending time. Time is within the fold of Prakriti. And Purusha is transcending everything, transcending Prakriti also. Vidhi anadi ubhau api, both are anadi. Vikaramscha gunamscha iva. And whatever modification you see, they are all time limited, time bound. They are all within the causality. They are all created. Any change means it is within the creation, within the fold of creation. It is all within the fold of time, space, matter, etc. So they are all Prakriti Sambhavan. They are all within the fold of Prakriti. So don't think that the Purusha is getting affected by any of the Vikaras here. That is the main point. By knowing the Prakriti, knowing the Purusha, what will happen? Because Purusha is what we are. See, don't miss that point. Otherwise the whole joy of studying Shastras will go. We are interested in knowing only because the Purusha is what we are. Purusha has got two etymological derivations. Puri Shete iti Purushaha. That means who is residing inside the body, the small Purusha. Puri means within the palace of our body, within the building of our body, in that. Puri Shete iti Purusha, who is encapsulated by the body, who is residing in the body, that is called Purusha. Our small, as we think our Purusha to be, that I am small only within my body. Another is Purnam Anena Sarvamiti Purushaha. Purnam Anena Sarvamiti, by whom everything is filled, everywhere it is filled. That is our real identity, Purusha. So the knowledge is when we come to know that the Purisheti iti Purushaha becomes the Purnam Anena Sarvamiti Purushaha. Both are Purushaha. Purne Manasi Sampurnam Jagat Sarvam Sudhadravaihi Apanad Gudhapadasya Nanu Charmastritaiva Bhuhu. This is from Yoga Vasishta, I believe. Purne Manasi Sampurnam Jagat Sarvam Sudhadravaihi. When the mind becomes full, the whole world becomes full for him, full with nectar. Jagat Sarvam Jagat Sudhadravaihi Purnam Bhavati. Manasi Purne Sati. This is called Sati Saptami, the conditional. Manasi Purne Sati. When the mind becomes full, how will the mind become full? By getting lot of food and material or whatever we want, by fulfilling the desire. When you understand that I am full, the whole universe is full with me. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. It is Purna and Purna alone. Not Shunya, but Purna. When we think ourselves as small, isolated, in solitude, then everything is Shunya. When we think ourselves as everywhere, all over the universe, then it is Purna. So when the mind becomes full, Purne, Manasi Purne Sati, when the mind becomes full, Jagat Sarvam Jagat Sudhadravaihi Purnam Bhavati. The whole world gets filled with the nectarine Purnata. How? Upanat Gudhapadasya Nanu Charma Astrita Iva Bhuhu. Nanu Charma Astrita Iva Bhuhu. Suppose you don't want to touch the dust to save your feet from the dirt. What do you do? Do you cover the whole earth with leather? Can you do it? Can it be done? What do you do? Cover your feet with leather. Have shoes. So upanad gudha padasya, when you hide your feet into the shoes, then the whole world gets covered with leather. Is it not? Wherever you go, it's covered with leather. You don't have to cover the whole world with leather. Like that, to make the world full, you don't have to remove the criminality and bad from the world at all. You don't have to do, and you cannot do also. God also cannot do. It's created by God. You cannot do anything with the world. You make your mind full, then the whole world will become full for you. Such a solution is given with the illustration of such a simple illustration. Like putting on shoes, you become full. Your mind will become full when you know that I am full, I am the Atma, which is all pervading everywhere. Even if you don't realize, how does it matter? Can you not think that I am like that? Then also you will feel full. Let it not happen actually. But can we not feel that? And it will be so relieving, freeing your mind of all stress, all suffering, everything will go. By just feeling that I am everywhere. I own the whole universe, not only my family, but the whole universe. Everywhere I am. I am not touched by anything. Like the space, I am embracing the whole universe. I don't get, even if there is nuclear explosion also, the space is not going to be touched by that. The body may fall, everything may go, but I am not going to be touched by that. Such is the Purnata. Purne manasi sampurnam jagat sarvam sudhadravaihi apanad gudha padasya nanu charmastrutaiva bhuhu. So vikaramscha gunamschaiva viddhi prakriti sambhavan. They are all part of prakriti. I am the Purusha, who is the sakshi of the prakriti. So although I take in the suffering, I am the bhokta, I take in all the enjoyment and suffering, but without getting tainted by that. They are all in the prakriti guna play going on me. That is why we worship the Kali as dancing on the Shiva. Shiva is lying underneath. He does not react to that. Even if Kali dances quite a lot, Shiva will remain like that only. That is our Atma. It never changes. Shiva means Atma. He never moves. It cannot move anywhere. It is already, the whole universe is in it. If anything moves, that is an object. The consciousness doesn't move at all. So Shiva remains fixed, and on which we see the dance of Kali, the whole Jagat with all galaxies running here, there, some galaxies getting born, some galaxies getting destroyed. What kind of activity is going on? That is why the Bhishana Rupa is given. Otherwise we will not be able to conceive of that immense activity going on. But all these activities are taking place on Shiva, the silence, the pure, pristine consciousness. Oh, questions have come. I think 10 minutes are there. I am not able to understand very well. As a human being, we are full of viruses of Prakriti. I don't know whether it is a doctor. Full of viruses of Prakriti, nature. Now tell us how to stent. No, stent na. It might be start. Na. I thought it's a doctor, so he is thinking of putting the stent in the heart or so. How to start to get rid of these 20 viruses when we face raga, dvesha, etc. I don't know, this 20 verses means we have talked about 20 virtues, so opposite of that are the viruses. Can you tell me who has given this? What is your intention? Do you mean that the opposite of the virtues, they are the viruses to get rid of it? How to get rid of it? The Very simple. When you are thinking of virus, don't consider the virus. Cultivate the opposite. That is why I did not talk about the virus. I talked about the virtues. Any adverse quality, to keep it away, to send it away from us, if you focus on that adverse quality, it will not go, it may increase also. It is better to cultivate the opposite qualities. Suppose you are miserly. It is better to cultivate liberality than thinking that, oh, I am miserly. You will become all the more miserly. So it is better to become liberal and cultivate the liberal virtues. Similarly, suppose you are given to jealousy. You start praising others, although your mind does not want. You simply find out your enemies and your envious people and all, start praising them. Praising them in front or praising in front of others. Praise your enemies. Start praising them. You have that, cultivate the opposite virtue. The constriction will automatically go. In any case, any virtues, rather than we say that suppose the bottle is full of clayish water. You go on pouring pure water. So slowly the water will become pure. Rather than trying to take out the clayish water, go on adding pure water. Slowly it will become diluted. So the process is to not focus on the virus. Let the doctors focus on virus. The seekers can forget about the virus and think about the virtues, so that all the virtues adorn us. In this cosmic universe, each object is being acted upon by its fundamental nature. 20 qualities. Each object is being acted upon by its fundamental nature. No, it is not true that way. Namely, Earth's rotation and moving around Sun and other nature's laws. Human beings are also object within universe, but they do not follow fundamental nature and they act and behave in manifold ways. What is the basic reason for this? See, here we have to think very threadbare, that I don't know exactly what is the problem, but generally you cannot compare the human beings with other objects fully. Like gravitation and the other objects are under the objective laws. For the human beings, like the objective causality, there are many other subtle laws also. Psychological causality, that psychological laws, emotional laws, various laws are there. We have to take care of all those laws at various levels. Otherwise, we will not be able to. That is why our various, the other day we were talking about why the Shraddha ceremony is there, so many other rituals. They are all because of so many psychological laws. Because whatever happened in the objective level, in the gross level, we can always understand. But in the subtle level of our mind, there are other laws which we are not always open to. Suppose one simple example, I don't know to whom I was speaking about Shraddha and all. So I was telling that suppose most of us, we are busy people. Generally in a house, the old parents would be neglected. By and large, there is no fault with us. I mean, it happens naturally because the present generation will be busy with their activities, going out, going in. And finally, because of habit, almost it come to an ignoring the parents or neglecting the parents. It's very common in everywhere. Suppose the father is suffering from some diabetes also he has, but at the very old age, one day he asked for some sweets. And we criticize that, see, he is a diabetic patient and he is asking for rasgulla. And we don't get it also. Next day the father dies. So at that time you start thinking that what is the harm, what was the harm if I had given a sweet yesterday? In any case, he is very old and he is passing. What was the harm if, because he was a diabetic patient, maybe a long period of life he had been deprived of sweet. So last day he wanted to have some sweet. But our mind, it does not have that comprehensive vision. We are very narrow in our vision. So we ignore that and neglect whatever he wanted. I am giving just one example. It happens in so many ways. Always it is happening. So the human life has to be dealt with in an altogether. Have I answered properly? I am not sure whether I understood properly. Huh? That's okay. No? So the whole Bhagavad Gita is actually a treatment to be given to our personality. He has dealt with our personality threadbare with various models. Such a book, I don't know whether we don't need also. I was about to say that whether it will be produced again a second book, but I thought that there is no necessity to produce another book like this. This itself is quite comprehensive and final. Prabuddham vimuktam vikaraadihinam prasannam sada nitya bodhaswarupam param nishchalam nirgunam sarvarupam bhajeham sadanusmarami pranomi. Prabuddham vimuktam vikaraadihinam prasannam sada param nishchalam nirgunam sarvarupam bhajeham sada anusmarami pranomi. Hari.